We'll go ahead and begin. I welcome each and every one of you to this evening's meeting. This is the second meeting of the Board of Directors in 2024. We had a snow event and kind of backed us up a little bit. We had passed on the first meeting of the year because of this lack of business to attend to, so it's kind of unusual that we'd be into the second month and only have the second meeting. So we'll all begin with invocation. It'll be led by City Director, District 6, Steve Trusty, and I'll follow up with the pledge. All rise.
Let's pray. Father, we are indeed grateful and thankful for the opportunity to gather tonight. We thank you for allowing us the privilege and the honor of doing the business for the City of Hot Springs. We ask for your guidance, your direction, your wisdom in all that transpires here tonight. We thank you for this community. Pray you continue to bless and lead and guide us so that we might progress as you would have us to, Lord. We thank you again for this time tonight and ask that you would be honored and glorified by the decisions that are made here. We ask all this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll now call this meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Director Aaron Holliday.
Here.
Director Phyllis Beard.
Present.
Director Marcia Dobbs-Smith.
Here.
Director Dudley Webb.
Here.
Director Karen Garcia.
Here.
Director Steve Trusty.
Here.
Mayor Pat McCabe.
Here. At this time, we'll consider approval of the agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that need to be moved to new business? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Agenda is approved. This time we'll consider approval of the minutes. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second, we got a motion and a second to approve well, actually, I had two sets of minutes. The minutes of the regularly scheduled meeting on January 23rd, 2024, and the special call meeting that we held last week on January 30th. So your motion is for both? Second?
Yes, sir. Yes,
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Recognition of guests. We have Mr. Gary Troutman come forward. He's President and CEO of the Greater Hot Springs Chamber of Commerce and Hot Springs Metro Partnership.
Thank you, Mayor and Board. Good to see you all tonight. January report, let me first off say January was a weird month, other than the fact that Vicki and I started off spending a full week at the University of Arizona. We had a subsequent week of single-degree temperatures and another week of a monsoon. So we're trying to get into some normalcy here. And by all accounts, a lot of people thought January lasted about 3 months, so I'm glad to see February. But I want to recognize that we got special guests here. Of course, Cole and Gary are with me, but Vince Signorelli, our chairman of the partnership, is here tonight, as is Brent Adkins from our board and Doug Arnold. January 4th, the front page headline in the Sentinel was Gold Standard. Vulcan is selected to produce the official ball of the Pickleball Tour. So I want to publicly congratulate Vince. He didn't come here to be recognized, but man, what an outstanding accomplishment. And Hot Springs is now the mecca for pickleball, in addition to Mountain Valley Water and Bago and so many other wonderful things. So Vince, congratulations. And Saki, and yeah, we could be up here a while, but yeah, several wonderful things. And I think I mentioned to you, but Raymond Tell is the VP of the U.S. Chamber. Huge pickleball fan, competes in some significant tournaments in senior division in D.C. and Florida, and we hope to bring him down for when we host the state conference in August at Oaklawn. So we'll look forward to that. We've hosted the presidential search for National Park College, and I know we all hate to really think about this, but we're going to lose Dr. Hogan this year. He's going to retire, and that search committee has the unenviable task of replacing, quite possibly one of the greatest college presidents in the country. So we'll look forward to seeing how that goes. I know that they're going to have a lot of worthy candidates. I'll also remind you, while we're talking about the college, during their reaccreditation a year and a half ago, they were one of 6% of colleges and universities to score perfect on their reaccreditation. So a huge testament to Dr. Hogan and team. Gary and I were back in the schools once we got back into the normal routine of January. We had the entire 10th, 11th, and 12th grade at Lakeside talking career development in their gym, 800 kids in all. So I'm pretty sure if we do this for many years to come, we won't have 801 audience like we did that day. But that was gratifying. We had the broadband director, Glenn Howie, in town. We visited with another company that is very near locating here, making arrangements on their final decisions. Vince led his first board of directors meeting of the year. We were back at Lakeside later that week for the 9th graders, about 240 of them in the auditorium. We met with our fellow partners in regional economic development from the Village, Malvern, and Arkadelphia at the Shack in Jessieville. We had on a Saturday morning, we had a Zoom call with the STRIVE program, Dr. Mark Bailey at UALR, and 64, about 59 educators and 5 business people on a Zoom. This is a program that offers externships for teachers. Lakeside and Lake Hamilton have participated in this in the past, and Reynolds, Keith Smith, a couple other local companies where the teachers work in the plant for 6 or 7 weeks during the summer, and then they go back into schools and relay their experiences to the kids. It's a wonderful program that is funded through a grant with UALR, and we're looking for more companies and more schools to participate. Cole met with a group from Houston consulting on a significant property in town. I know Director Trusty asked particular last month about our AEDO reaccreditation. We've been anxiously waiting on that. We didn't realize we were going to have a very, very comprehensive final exam, if you will, that we had with the IEDC staff. We had that on the 23rd. Have every indication we should hear as early as next week, and we expect good results there. Gary hosted a career training education workshop with our 7 area schools. And I mentioned National Park earlier. This has nothing to do with economic development, but I think we all should take pride that we have the #1 ranked junior college basketball team in the nation right here in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And I think the Nighthawks won again last night, if I'm not mistaken. They're unbeaten in #1. Cole participated in our Arkansas Broadband Network Leaders Call. Gary and I have been back at Lake Hamilton. We had the 10th graders there. We had 330 of their students talking career development. I want to personally thank Chief Harbertson, who's here tonight. Had me over last week, he and Lieutenant Patrick, to catch me up on the Eclipse meeting, and we'll be involving our business community in that as we near ever closer. We're just about 2 months away now, which is a very scary thought. Gary and Cole just got back from Dallas. They spent last week at the ICSC Red River Deal-Making Conference talking to site selectors, commercial realtors, retailers, and restaurants. And obviously, read about it in the paper. RDOT was over here last week to address the concerns from our tourism industry about the problems with I-30 and hopefully provide a little relief. I want to thank each of you because I believe most every one of you was at the awards banquet the other night. But just to recap the winners real quick, our Woman of the Year was Esther Dixon, Man of the Year Scott Dews, Largest Business CHI St. Vincent Hot Springs, Small Business Daniel Heaton Air, Organization was Cooper Anthony Mercy Child Advocacy Center. Our volunteer was Dennis Berry. Our rising star was Gina Rockwell. Our ambassador was Lynette Howe. Our lifetime ambassador was Jim Mazzani. And receiving special recognition for 16 years of service on the Chamber Board, Exec Committee, and as ambassador, your own Steve Trusty. So that concludes my report, and I'd be happy to try to answer any questions.
Any questions of Gary?
Yes.
Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate your report, Mr. Gary. looking at the notes that you did provide for us, the reports, you did mention December 15th that you had a meeting, National Park College, to discuss the Majestic project. Can you share with the board just some highlights from that meeting?
Yeah, that was Vince Signorelli, Scott Dews, Todd Green, Brian Smith, and myself, and we wanted to, I'm sorry, Vince, was there anyone else there? Was that everyone? We just wanted to discuss details going in the holidays. As I've said, we don't have all our eggs in one basket, but we got a lot of eggs in one right now, and just kind of working the relationship with that contact. Brian Smith in particular on our committee has a good relationship with them, so we're kind of anxiously awaiting that. Scott Dews wanted to be here tonight to kind of provide that, but he and Brian intend to reach back on that one in the next few weeks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or for Gary? Hearing none, thank you very much.
Thank you all. Appreciate you.
At this time, we have a special proclamation entitled National Girls in Sports Day, and I'm going to ask City Director of District 5, Karen Garcia, to read that proclamation, and then she and I will present the proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor. Hot Springs Girls and Women in Sports Day. Whereas this day exists to acknowledge the past and recognize current sports achievements, the positive influence of sports participation, and the continuing struggle for equality and access for women in sports. Whereas National Girls and Women in Sports Day began in 1987 as a day to remember Olympic volleyball player Flo Hyman for her athletic achievements and her commitment to ensure equality for women's sports. And whereas the history of girls and women in sports is rich and long, yet there has been little national recognition of the significance of girls in sports athletics achievements. And whereas girls and women's athletics at all levels is one of the most effective avenues available through which girls and women in the United States may develop self-discipline, initiative, confidence, and leadership skills regardless of their background. And whereas the bonds built between girls and women through athletics helps to break down the social barriers of racism and prejudice, communication and cooperation skills learned play a key role in athletes' contributions at home, at work, and to society. And whereas a need for increased opportunities exist for girls to participate in and pursue physical activity at the community and scholastic level to increase health and well-being on a daily basis so that they are able to develop lifelong fitness habits at an early age. And now, therefore, Pat McCabe, Mayor of the City of Hot Springs, on behalf of the entire Board of Directors, do proclaim February 7th, 2024 as Hot Springs Girls and Women's Sports Day in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and calls upon the citizens of Hot Springs to recognize the important role athletics plays in the development of young women throughout the country. We had a young woman that's a captain of the volleyball team at Lakeside High School, Maddie Bell Landry, that was going to be here this evening, but she also plays on club team, and they are going to national tournament and had a practice that she had to be at in Little Rock today. But Maddie Bell has excelled in volleyball at all levels. She's been 3 times All-State tourney. She's been identified and recognized at the state level for outstanding hitters. She's been all conference for the past 3 years. She's had the most double-doubles on the team, the best assist blocker, outstanding hitter award, all Garland County team, and the list goes on and on. And she will be also playing this summer here in the Arkansas All-Star game for volleyball on the West team. Sports can help young ladies in a lot of areas, including scholarships. She has signed a letter of intent and acceptance of scholarship to play volleyball at Ouachita Baptist University after graduation. She will begin there in the fall. We have, there's only 2 women that have been inducted to the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame for volleyball, and there's only 1 living woman, and she's here tonight, Coach Thigpen from Lakeside, to accept this proclamation on behalf of Maddie. She's her coach at Lakeside.
That's all right. That's all right.
You don't want a family photo?
I just want to say thank you for taking time tomorrow at Lakeside. We'll have some upperclassmen, and we will go out to the intermediate schools, and we will do a celebration of success for women with those young ladies. So I'm looking forward to that. So thank you for acknowledging Maddie Bell. God bless.
Very good, thank you. You know, we talk about women in sports here tonight with the proclamation, and you know, I don't know how many people are like me, but I kind of follow now that Caitlin Clark with University of Iowa's women's basketball team, who's kind of a scoring machine, and they're one of the top-ranked teams in the country. Came up a little short last year, but you know, that young lady is filling every stadium that she plays at, and Northwestern the other day they played, and never have they filled that up for a women's basketball game. And you know, standing room only each and every time she goes out on the court. You know, they're so women in sports. You know, it's kind of hard to say. You know, it's got to come up at all levels per se, but you know, the inroads is. I mean, everybody's watching this girl play. And I kind of read the box scores on a regular basis and keep track of her. So so there's really something there. So in all women areas of sports, and even you can't look at Facebook and right, wrong, or indifferent. You got Taylor Swift there, and you got the Kansas City Chiefs, and all that's going on there. So it's so very powerful. Women are very powerful in their various professions, and it's great to see that. We'll move on with the city manager's report, and Mr. Bill Burrow.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. Of course, this time of year, staff is extremely busy trying to close out 2023, especially within our finance department and our finance director, Karen Scott. Lance, he's been busy gathering data for the state of the city and getting that prepared for a future presentation. Appreciate what they're doing to get 23 closed. Want to lead off with water and wastewater. I can tell you that the water project continues to progress in a timely manner. We have achieved all of the really major crossings that we have to do. Those are complete. Still have quite a bit of the mains delay, but most of those are coming along real well. By the time we are close to having the plant, all of the pipe will be in the ground, but all the contractors are working well, progressing well, and we're happy to see that. Wastewater, of course, Gulfa continues to be our highest priority. We've got crews out there now that are laying the 24-inch line. We have something on your agenda tonight that will start the pump station work. We've had a lot of equipment out there and a lot of work being done, exploratory, based on this particular contract. But, you know, that remains our highest priority. We are still having some overflows, especially during high weather, wet events. We're looking at ways now on how we may be able to decrease that and try to build a better coffer dam in that area that will contain that water and release. But that, just to let the board know, that continues to be our highest priority. For those that may be tuning in, I want to say that, you know, Hot Springs has really taken our infrastructure seriously over the past 10, 12 years. We're about 110 million into a 12-year project that had to do with the Stokes and the Fairwood basins. We've got 67 million in various stages of work and planning for Gulfa alone. So that continues to be a very high priority for staff, and we're glad to see the pump station start coming. 24-inch line is really the key to that in terms of overflows. As soon as they get that connected and get that laid and connected, we'll be able to utilize all three of the pumps again. So if you hear anything on that, I wanted to make sure that I reported on that particular priority. Paving, that continues to be something that we're working on. We're enjoying the dry, warmer days. It's allowing us to continue to mill roads and to bring in pavers to get those paved. In 2023, we had budgeted to pave 16.76 miles. To date, we've done a little over 11.3. We've got 5 streets that have been milled that pavers will be taking care of the rest of this week. We're 67% complete with our 2023 budget, paving budget and streets. So again, you know, those we have to wait. You know, one contractor pretty much does all of these, and there's been so much highway department work that we kind of got stuck on the end of that. So as we bring you the 2024 paving list and start developing that bid project, we'll put some time frames in there to see if we can't get these done a little bit sooner, start to get those completed in 2024. Eclipse event preparations are ongoing, both with police and fire, working in conjunction with city departments and other community stakeholders to ready the community for its possible impacts. We've met with representatives from local hospitals, event organizers, other concerned groups, really on how to prepare for this event. This is going to be one of the largest amount of people that we'll ever see. It's going to stretch our resources to the max, and so the best planning we can do, we want to do on the front end, and that is ongoing. We'll continue to prepare the community for this historic event. We're also working with Garland County and Garland County Emergency Management. We've been in contact with other public safety agencies in the state. We know that with Hot Springs being one of those that are in the path of totality, that we're going to get an influx of people that are going to want to be in Hot Springs during that time. So we've got some great tips out there, you know, leading up to that date. You know, Monday's really the day of the eclipse, but we're going to be dealing with that Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So it's going to be a long-term event. If anyone is listening, be sure you're stocking up, getting your supplies well ahead of time. Don't wait till that weekend to get what you need, because their mobility could be an issue. Hot Springs Police Department's peer recovery specialist, Carrie Montgomery, trained 63 ASMSA staff members and will host 4 Narcan training classes throughout the month for different organizations. In total, there should be around 150 to 180 individuals receiving Narcan training this month. On a lighter note, 2024 Spring Youth T-Ball and Softball signups are going really, really well. We've had 449 players signed up already, registered, with about 8 days to go. And again, this is the fun side across the street, but we're very proud of Majestic Park. And if you have a 6 and under, 8 and under, 10 and under, 12 and under, those are the leagues. If you have a child that's wanting to play baseball, I suggest getting to Majestic Park and getting signed up for those. Also on the city side, we do a lot of the softball. Sign-ups are going on from now until March 1st, or they actually close March 1st. Games will begin the week of March 24th. You can get more information on the softball at cityhs.net/parks-rec, or you can contact Adam Ustry at 501-651-7740. So a lot of sports beginning to happen. It's always a fun time of year. Last couple of things is Leadership Hot Springs Youth Class 28, consisting of 28 youth ranging from 10th through 12th grade from local schools, visited city and county offices today for their Government Day. I know that I was able to meet with them this morning. I think most of our board met with them this morning as well, and then they kind of finished their day over at the fire simulator at the training grounds for the fire department, so I know they enjoyed that. And last but not least, I want to recognize Captain Jeff Michaud. Jeff will be retiring from the City of Hot Springs Police Department after 28 years of dedicated service. Details of his retirement ceremony are still being planned, and information will be sent out when those are finalized. But certainly appreciate the service that Captain Michaud has given the City of Hot Springs. Mayor, that concludes my report.
Very good. Thank you very much. Any questions of Bill on his report? Hearing none, we'll move to Board of Directors announcements of upcoming events. Director Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. Continuing on our athletes, and we believe in supporting at all levels for our athletics activities. And on the 17th, Saturday, the 17th of this month at 10 a.m., will be the 2024 Hot Springs Polar Plunge for Special Olympics Arkansas. It includes the supporting our Special Olympics, and the athletes from Special Olympics at our local schools participate, as well as from the community. And then teams participate to raise money to help the Special Olympics organization, including our own police department. And last year, our city manager and police department, and we want to invite everyone to participate and donate to their team to try to beat our record for fundraising here in Hot Springs for the Polar Plunge and Special Olympics. That'll be at the Hot Springs Health and Fitness, February 17th at 10 a.m. That's located at 282 Lake Hamilton Drive in District 5, Hot Springs. And Mayor, just a final note on your basketball comments. Back in the olden days when I played, we were too delicate. We couldn't play full court. We only played half court. But we persevered so that our 5-on-5 would be adopted, so our graduates would have opportunity at college scholarships as well. Thank you.
Thank you for that moment in history.
Remember when?
Okay, I don't know how we're going to follow that, Director Webb.
I'll take us to the Beards and Stashes contest. The second annual Beards and Stashes contest is going to be held this Saturday, February 10, between 9 in the morning and 11 in the morning, 401 Broadway Street. The Hot Springs Farmers Market is hosting its second annual Beards and Stashes contest. Prizes for the best mustache, best creative beard, best full beard, best partial beard, and longest beard. Entertainment by Fun City Chorus Barbershop Quartet, and this is sponsored by Twins Beard, Balm, and Essentials. You can visit the Hot Springs Farmers Market website for more information or contact information. And I'll meet with City Manager Bill and Director Trusty after the meeting to see if I can get us 3 signed up for it.
They got any?
B and Mayor Pat, you've got a few days to get one in before it starts if you feel like
I
joining.
shaved my COVID beard about 2 years ago, so.
Thank you.
Do they have to be real?
Sign me up for the bald and beard.
Director Beard has a upcoming event.
Thank you, Mayor. Saturday, February 24th, from 10 to 1 is Food for Thought, and that is on the parking lot corner of Church Street and Malvern Avenue. The Giving Team provides monthly food, nutrition, and resources for individuals in Hot Springs. And for more information, visit givingteaminc.org. And also there's Harmony in History, the Evolution of Gospel Music, the 27th Annual Black History Celebration Program, which is also Saturday, February 24th at 5 p.m. And that's at Emmanuel Christian Fellowship at 1536 East Grand Avenue. The Evolution of Gospel Music, sung by Greater Pleasant Hill Missionary Baptist Church in Arkadelphia, led by Dr. Kenneth Harris, Minister of Music, and guest co-hosts Candace Evans and Les Warren. There's free admission, and for more information, call 501-624-9400 or email info@the-usuriproject.org.
Very good. Director Holliday.
Thank you. One, I don't usually give a shout out to Emergent Arts, my organization, but I do want to announce something that's coming up because of all of our partners. This is the second year that we'll be celebrating the Lunar New Year, and we will have over 200 hand-painted lanterns at Watkins Park on Park Avenue, thanks to a partnership with the city and letting us do a public event there. Also, we've partnered with the Garland County Library, High Impact Movement that the city supports, and their students and participants will be adding their artwork to that as well. It'll be February 23rd through 25th. We'll light up the lanterns at dusk, and they'll be there all weekend, weather permitting. If it rains, they are actual paper lanterns and they will wilt, so they won't be there. But if it's a nice weekend, please go down to Watkins Park. I apologize, I don't know the exact address. I don't know if someone could jump in, but on Park Avenue, it's one of our newest parks, but it's a really great thing. And the people who've created lanterns are anywhere from toddlers to senior citizens, artists to non-artists, and it's really a beautiful event down there. I also want to bring up something that is incredibly important, is voting for the presidential primary. Early voting is February 20th through March 4th, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturdays 10 to 4, and then election day is on March 5th, 7:30 to 7:30. For more information, visit garlandcountyvote.org or call 501-622-3622. Here in Garland County, you can vote at any open precinct. You don't have to go to the one in your neighborhood or a certain area. Also, to remind you, it's not just the presidential primary. We have 2024 nonpartisan general and 2024 annual school elections. And if you're not familiar what a nonpartisan general candidate might be for this is our judicial candidate. So if you perhaps don't have a partisan opinion at the moment, we still definitely want you to go out and vote for who some of our judicial candidates will be. So please, if you are registered to vote, please go vote. If you are not registered to vote, you have missed the opportunity for the primary, but there's plenty of time for November. So exercise your right there. Thank you.
And we have Watkins Park is 811 Park Avenue.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very good. Any other announcements of upcoming events? Director Dobbs-Smith.
I'm very pleased to bring awareness to the annual Boots and Gowns event. It's a fundraiser for a serious cause. It's at the distillery on East Grand. And it's all of the funds go to the FACES Foundation, which helps with plastic surgery for children and people who have, particularly children who have facial deformities. And it raises money every year, and it's a wonderful thing. It's will be this Thursday, the 8th at 6 p.m. There's still tickets available.
Very good. I guess that completes our announcements of upcoming events, but once again, a lot of different activities. Mr. Burrow has an announcement.
Thank you, Mayor. Do want to say that there is an additional Black History Month celebration at Hot Springs High School Craft Auditorium. That's going to be February 20th from 9:30 to 11:30, sponsored by the Webb Center. But I appreciate you giving me the mic back. I want to introduce Don Rollett here is our airport director, and Kent Trice, our new airport operations manager. Kent, if you want to come up and just introduce yourself, let the board know who you are. Glad you're on board.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Yeah, thank you. Kent Trice. My wife and I moved here 2010. We live in Hot Springs Village. Came to the airport at the end of November. Met a lot of good people at the city already. Lance and Don brought me on board, and I enjoy working for both of those. And a lot of good things happening at the airport, and I'm glad to be a part of what we're doing there.
Welcome to the city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next agenda item is to approve the consent agenda. These tend to be of a routine nature. They do not merit individual discussion. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Director Garcia, seconded by Director Trustee. All in favor of the consent agenda as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Consent agenda is adopted. And we'll move on to new business, where we have 3 items. We'll first consider resolution R-24-20. Ask City Attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-24-20, resolution awarding a construction management at risk contract, Seymour contract to Max Foot Construction Company, LLC, for the construction of the Gulf Basin wet weather sewage pumping station. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Dobbs Smith. Director Trustee. And our staff report will be provided by Mr. Todd Pillar, Engineering Project Manager. Welcome.
Thank you and good evening. We work in numbers and letters. So this first is package A. So you know it was where I'm going. It's going to be A, B, C. So there's going to be more construction projects as we go on. But Max Foot Construction of Mandeville, Louisiana, was the only one that returned our RFQ packages of 4 we sent out. And as staff negotiated with them, there was several value engineering items that we discussed. And their first estimate was, I think about 11 million. And we reduced it down by about $900,000 to the amount that's coming to you this evening, which is $10,072,200. We bid this project last July, and the 2 bids we got were $10.48 million and $10.27 million. The construction will take approximately 18 months, but will be completed by July 2025. And Max Foot Construction will install, staff has already ordered 3 500 horsepower submersible pumps, a 1,250 kilowatt generator, and an automatic transfer switch, which they will install as well. And this will come out of the 2022 wastewater bond funds.
Any questions of Mr. Pillar? Hearing none, thank you. Anybody sign up?
No, sir.
Any discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, call the roll.
Director Holliday.
Aye.
Beard.
Aye.
Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Webb.
Aye.
Garcia. Aye. Trustee.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Resolution is adopted. Moving on, we'll consider ordinance O-24-07. Now entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title.
So moved.
Director Trustee,
Second.
seconded by Director Dobbs Smith. We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read by title. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, same sign. Please read by title.
Ordinance O-24-07, an ordinance amending the zoning map to C4 Regional Commercial Open Display Zone District for 1.064 acres generally located at 163 and 165 Weston Road, amending the future land use plan map to linear commercial corridor and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Who made the motion?
Director Garcia.
Garcia and Director Trustee made the second. Staff report will be provided by Ms. Kathy Selman, Director of Planning and Development.
Thank you. Good evening. The applicant and property owner is Lloyd Robertson, and he has requested C4 Regional Commercial Open Display District zoning for 2 parcels, one of which is split zoned, roughly an acre of land at approximately 163 and 165 Weston Road. The zoning on these lots has been in place since before the construction of the Martin Luther King Jr. Expressway. The subject property is currently zoned R2, suburban residential, has a future land use classification of residential low, and is located in Board of Directors District Number 3. This is 2 unplatted lots. The lot around Martin Luther King bypass on ramp exit 1EB is zone C4, commercial open display district, as well as R2, suburban residential, and the back lot is entirely zoned R2, suburban residential. That front lot also has, at this time, a non-conforming commercial auto body shop. The requested C4 zone district would eliminate the non-conforming status of the body shop on that split zone C4 and R2 lot. It is compatible with surrounding uses and zoning, and Planning Commission was able to find that the requested zone change demonstrates compatibility with surrounding development and zoning as required by Hot Springs Code Section 16211E, and additionally was able to find that the expressway construction represented a significant physical change to the area. And as always, if the change to Z4 is approved, the full range of C4 uses would be possible. Planning Commission, at their duly advertised public hearing on January 11th, 2024, voted 9-0 after calling for testimony and considering the record to accept staff report findings and recommend that the board approve this request, assigning C4 zoning and approving the future land use plan map amendment to linear commercial corridor for the land at 163 and 165 Weston because the requirements of Hot Springs Code are met. That concludes the presentation.
Any questions to Ms. Selman?
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody sign up to speak?
No, sir.
No? Any discussion amongst directors? No? Please call the roll.
Director Beard.
Aye.
Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Webb.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Trustee.
Aye.
Holliday. Aye. Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Ordinance is adopted. Want to pause for a moment. During the consent agenda, we generally have a number of items, like I say, that don't merit individual discussion, but when we have an item that in which an individual is appointed to a board or commission, we like to recognize that individual. And with us this evening is Mr. Howard Sublett Jr., who's been selected by the board of directors to serve on the Hot Springs Housing Authority Board of Commissioners. And Mr. Sublett is here today, and just want to say thank you so much for stepping up and providing service to our community.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I'm honored and humbled. I'm looking forward to attending my very first meeting and figuring out what I need, what I know and what I don't know, and how to apply my skills to help the city. So I'm excited.
Very nice. And we understand that you're following not directly in the footsteps, but maybe a few years removed of your father, who served very well.
I would say many years.
ago.
He served somewhere between the mid to late 60s to somewhere around the mid 1990s, I believe. It's a
Okay.
little fuzzy on when that was, but he served for a very long time. Very long time.
Well, we appreciate you and all those who step up and serve in these non-paid volunteer positions. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And thank you all.
Our last action item of the evening is to consider ordinance O-24-08, and I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules to read by title only.
So moved.
Director Garcia, seconded by Director Webb. So I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read by title only. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Please read by title.
Ordinance O-24-08, an ordinance granting a non-exclusive franchise agreement for the operation of a specialty transit service to Ramsey H. Zimmerman, doing business as Hot Springs Horse Memories. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
I heard a voice here. Director Holliday, second by Director Webb. And we have staff report, and will be provided by our very own city clerk, Miss Harmony Morrissey.
Thank you. The Hot Springs Transportation Code authorizes the board to grant a franchise for specialty transit service if the board finds that the agreement is fair, reasonable, and in the public interest. Mr. Ramsey Zimmerman has applied for a specialty transportation permit to operate a horse-drawn carriage business in Hot Springs. According to his application, Mr. Zimmerman is a jockey and has a horse-drawn carriage business in Iowa. He has included photos with his application of his horses and business operation in Iowa. He has also included in his application some past judgments from the state of Florida. His full application is included in the meeting packet, as well as some recent incident reports and an arrest report issued by HSPD. The packet also includes a draft of a franchise agreement for your consideration. The Hot Springs Code states that a franchise agreement for specialty transit service must clearly state the duration, terms, franchise fee, rates, insurance, conditions, and procedures for granting and operating such a franchise. If approved, his business, named Hot Springs Horse Memories, would operate very similarly to the current horse-drawn carriage operation. His hours of operation would be from noon until midnight, up to 7 days a week. One carriage could be licensed for the first year of operation, but he could seek permission in the future to increase his permit to allow for additional carriages to be licensed. His set fare to be charged would be $45 for the first 2 passengers, $10 for each additional adult passenger over the age of 15, and $5 for each additional youth passenger, which is ages 3 to 14, with no charge for passengers 2 and under. He would be allowed to accept gratuities. The map of the route is also attached to the packet, and I'm putting that up on the screens so you can see it contains the area shaded in purple. If approved, his agreement would go into effect on March 1st of this year. This would allow city staff time to prepare an additional equine loading spot or parking area that would be needed, as well as making any amendments to the current agreement with the carriage operator to ensure that both carriage companies would be operating pursuant to the same terms. Again, per the Hot Springs Code, the board may grant a franchise for specialty transit services if the board finds the agreement is fair, reasonable, and in the public interest. That concludes my report. I'm happy to answer questions, but please know that Mr. Zimmerman is also here tonight to answer any questions you have for him.
Any questions of Ms. Morrissey? Director Garcia?
Thank you. Did the Transportation Committee review this, or is this one they don't?
No, ma'am, the code does not require this to go before the Transportation Advisory Committee.
So I know typically they would do the legwork and review for safety and that type of thing. Was there any safety report, evaluation performed?
There is none required by the code. Specialty transit permit section of the code is a little bit different, so a lot of the same rules do not apply to this particular one. Specialty transit and charter permits are a little bit different. So might be something we want to look at, but there is no requirement that it go before the board or anything be done beforehand. If approved, his carriages would be inspected by HSPD, but they would be inspected according to the agreement. So the agreement is considered first, and then the inspection is made pursuant to the agreement that is adopted by the board, if it is adopted by the board.
What I've received some concern about was not getting the cart before the horse, and to ensure that with multiple, not that, I mean, it's not the competition, it's having the city review the routes to determine that we agree that that will be safe for multiple providers of this service on the same route. And I don't know if there's any safety or concern issues regarding that. And also it stated that there would be no extra, not determine any extra expense, but if the cleanup with multiple carrier providers, how, and there's not the cleanup that's required, how do you know, do you go to both providers, or, I mean, I don't know about that, but there was just some concerns I received, and to make sure that we're on safety, that we make sure that that is reviewed if we need to amend the approved route for all carriers, not just one, but, you know, since we have multiple.
Yes, ma'am. I can kind of address some of that. The route that's proposed, of course, you can always amend that. The route that's proposed on the map that's shown in purple was one that was come up with by input from HSPD as well as staff, Public Works Director. Everybody kind of got together and looked for a route that could possibly work. Of course, that can always be amended. As far as the cleanup, both carriage companies would be required to have certain aprons on their horses that would help with that. I don't know the answer to your question about how, if there is something outside of that has to be tended to, how you would determine which one it is. I'm not honestly sure how that would work. But there is, in both agreements, the current one with Circle Double D as well as the proposed one, there is a requirement that the horses do have those on. So I hope that answered.
Thank you.
Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. I have some concerns too that deal in part with public safety, and I've received some calls too with concerns of public safety. It's a little bit of a different realm of public safety, but this is a permit that does contain ordinance terms, per se, general traffic rules that are enforced by our city Hot Springs Police Department, and there are even some traffic rules that are consistent with state police. There are traffic regulations, you've got animal control codes that are involved, there's fares, of course, hours of operation, and then the operational map that Director Garcia was mentioning just a minute ago, and then of course the fees. And Mr. Zimmerman, I just want to bring up just some of these reports that are coming to us from the Hot Springs Police Department. One that dates back, it looks November of 16 of 23. That was an encounter that you had with an officer with the Hot Springs Police Department where you were unlawfully utilizing your horse and carriage. And it's my understanding, based on this report, that that officer did convey to you that you should not be operating your horse and carriage without a permit. And then 2 days later, November 18th of 23, you were again stopped by Hot Springs Police Department for unlawfully operating a horse-drawn carriage without a permit. In that same day, it looks like we've got a report, and this is an allegation. I'm not sure of any charges were filed, but it looks like the report was just docketed for documentation purposes, but there was some call of a potential harassment that took place of the other horse-drawn carriage company at the Arlington Hotel site. That was November 18th of 23. And then I do remember you being here in front of the board just before Christmas time. I'm not sure what the exact date was, but that item was removed. I think you lacked, like, maybe having your license, and you were going to try to get it done or get your license obtained and then come back to the board later on. But in between when you were last seen here with us at a city board meeting and today, you've got another encounter with the Hot Springs Police Department where, again, and this time you received a criminal citation for unlawfully operating a horse-drawn carriage. I guess the concern I have is, how do I trust you? You know, if we issue a permit to operate this business with the horse-drawn carriage, how likely is it that you're going to follow all of the terms that are included in this permit?
Thank you for the question. And as far as all the unlawfully operating of a horse carriage, it just makes no sense. They tell you exactly how to do it. You go out and you get a ticket anyways. So basically, the rule should have been absolutely don't do it. Don't do a horse carriage at all. Should have been the rule. Is not the rule. The rule says if you're a licensed driver, you can do a horse carriage. Don't charge money, which I never have. Why would I? I'm up for a permit. I'm a professional licensed jockey. I use my jockey license to race horses. I would never try to race a horse without a jockey license. I would never try to give a carriage ride without a horse, of something I'm charging for. So as far as the New Year's Day incident was just me being out with my friends. I got done early racing. I had a winner New Year's Day at the racetrack. And I thought, wow, I get done early, the whole fun rest of the day off. I'll come pick up a few of my friends and give rides to the cars back and forth to guys that I've raced with for years. So it's nothing I would have ever charged for. And as far as that happening early on, was some more confusion what the actual rule is, which there's still confusion, but I just chose not to ever do it again without the permit. And I'll absolutely stick to all the rules at the racetrack. As a professional jockey, you'll see into there may be some bumping last year in some different horse racing, but wasn't on purpose. Anything I would ever do would be legally. I like to do things legally. And as far as very early on, one of my carriages is really just it's a riding lawnmower, but I did not have the deck on it. Basically the horse version of one. It has many attachments and it can also give rides, but that one only has a farm implement sign on it and a red flashing light. It did not have turn signals and brakes. So I've even fixed that. Everything I have on it now has turn signals, brakes, and I tried to go to, I was actually hoping to have that thrown out in court this morning, or at least resolve the case. And they postponed it. It's for a later date. So I just would tell you that I just must be a very fine line of what you can actually do on a horse carriage. But I just look to have the permit, or I won't be doing it. So. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you for the response.
One last thing, as far as the harassment, I thought turn signals on a horse carriage. Well, I've never seen that before. Let me just go down and see how the other guy has his set up. It was never meant to harass. I was always completely cordial. And I don't want to do he said, she said. But if anybody was harassed, it was me, because they showed up at, the other company showed up at my shop, parked in behind me, had me intimidated. I didn't know who it was. And they sat there with a really loud truck running, wouldn't talk to me. I went up to the window of the guy's car, wouldn't roll down the window. And so I was very nervous, and then the police showed up, and I had a police interaction with them. But if anybody was harassed, it was me. I'm a very polite person. I meet so many people that let me ride horses for them every day, and I'm a really nice guy. I don't harass people. So, and I also don't do illegal horse carriage riding either. I would never do it. So that's my word. You can trust me.
Yeah, I appreciate your response. Do we have any clarity on what the ticket was an issue of? Do you just have to have a license to ride a horse and a carriage downtown, or do you have to have a license and a permit both?
It was operating with it without a permit. That court date is March the 12th. So with it being a pending court date, I'm not comfortable speaking about Mr. Zimmerman's. pending case.
I think what maybe, I guess enticed me to give you those questions too, might not be so much on a legality sense, but just on reading what the officer states in this narrative, which was that he did inform you that you probably shouldn't be operating this without a permit. And it looks like, you know, you chose maybe not to take that advice and continue operating the horse and carriage without a permit. So the legality, I don't know. I don't know enough about whether you have to have both or just one, or I would think you've got to have the permit to take any type of payment for services per se. But if I were to operate, you know, a horse downtown and I was stopped by the police officer, and even though I've got a driver's license, he told me you probably shouldn't do this without a permit, I'm going to listen to him. And
I
I'm gonna
did.
get-
I
so
went
that's-
home after I talked to him.
Okay. That was the concern that I have, and I don't question your character. I don't question your character. I don't know you at all. I'm just having to judge this service based on what is being presented to me, and part of what's being presented to me are these interactions that you've had with the police, where it looks like the guidance that was provided to you by our police department might not have been taken. And that's the concern I have as far, you know, from a public safety perspective. I want to know that if we, as directors, grant a permit to somebody to operate a business downtown that does put not just tourists but residents too in a horse-drawn carriage downtown where lots of traffic is taking place, I want to be ensured that who is responsible for those people follows all the rules that are provided within that ordinance, or the terms of the ordinance. So I appreciate you speaking, but that's a concern I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from directors? Director Holliday?
Yeah, I have a question. This maybe for the city clerk or city attorney, but just so I'm clear, what's in front of us is a franchise agreement to offer the transit service, but that is separate from the information we have that is the animal services permit for an animal drawn vehicle. Those are two separate applications.
Yes,
and-
after,
okay.
you know, assuming that the non-exclusive franchise is granted, then the safety inspections will ensue, and a permit would be issued if it meets all of the inspections.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear that those were two different applications and two different approval processes.
And this particular franchise agreement is, as Harmony had mentioned, is only good until the end of the year, and it's for one licensed carriage.
Any additional questions of Mr. Zimmerman? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Harmony, again, did I hear you say that there's going to be a second equine station, or they're both?
If this franchise agreement is approved, it wouldn't go into effect until March 1st, and that would give the city time to provide that. We have looked at some areas where we could have an additional equine station. If there are two permitted operations, we need a few more equine spots, and we need to figure out how that's going to work. So that would give staff time to get the sign up and paint that appropriately.
Would it, I guess, is it in the, I guess it'd be in the downtown area, is it gonna take away a vehicular parking spot?
The proposed, there are a couple of different places that have been proposed. Some of them would. Most likely, it would take probably two parking spots. Most likely. But again, the time would give staff, PD and Public Works especially, time to work on exactly where that would be and how that would function.
Okay. Any other questions of staff? Any discussion amongst individual directors? Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. I just think for me, I look at it from a public safety perspective. I have concerns over this individual receiving a permit to operate this horse and carriage. I think if we were to see that maybe 6 months, 12 months down the road, there's better compliance with our police department, it might be a change of mind for me, but for right now, I don't think I can say yes.
Any other comments or questions, or just discussion amongst directors, where we're at? Director Garcia?
Just a follow-up question. If parking spaces are removed, are there any considerations of having these locations not where parking is, where both of them could be at another location and restore where the current one is, the parking spaces, and have both leaving from a non-parking current?
We have looked at, and staff has basically had the conversations. Nothing has been decided or determined, but one of the options was to do just that, to kind of move the whole area away from where it is now, where it would not impede as many parking spots in the downtown area. But again, staff didn't make any real recommendations, knowing that this was coming before you, and just wanting to have that time to be able to do that.
Does that come back to the board when you, for approval of the locations?
It would not unless you directed us to do so.
Well, I would, if I was a downtown business, I would want some input if there was going to be parking spaces removed from my business. I'm just thinking out loud that, again, I don't want to put
No, that's
the cart
very,
before the house.
that's very
horse,
understandable.
that we don't have all the information out to businesses or individuals that may be impacted.
As written, it would not come back. If you direct us to do so, you know we will.
Any further comments? Director Dobbs-Smith?
Have we had any complaints on the current horse operator downtown as far as traffic problems and parking problems, biohazards, anything like that with the current?
There have been a few issues, some issues with the Arlington and some of the businesses who rent space from the Arlington, with some of those very issues about where the horses are, about some of the smell and those kind of issues, which I think are probably common when you have horses on the street. But there have been. Thank you.
We've had a larger conversation of looking at additional areas that we may move those to at some point, as part of that review of looking at where an equine station or a parking may be.
Thank you.
Director Beard?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I was wondering how long the other horse carriage, how long have they operated downtown by themselves?
The current company, Circle Double D, acquired the business in, I believe in 2021. The business has, had been in the, I can't even tell you off the top of my
Lance
head.
may want to chime in here, but 15 years?
A long time.
Oh, probably longer than that. We're
Longer
probably
than that.
talking 25.
25?
Bobby and Regina Stokes. Long time.
But I don't have it in front of me to get heavy, but a long time.
So the entire century.
Yes. Since the turn of the century.
In 2 millennials.
Yeah, okay.
Any additional comments, discussion by directors? I'll just make a few comments. I agree with Director Webb on the concerns with the interactions with the Hot Springs Police Department, being told, hey, don't do this, go get a permit. Hey, don't do this, told you you need to get a permit. We got a legal action, I guess, March 12th, you said?
March 12th, yes, sir.
Somewhere around March 12th, on the very issue that we're, I guess, going to issue a permit, potential permit tonight. Some challenges that he's had in Florida. I don't know. Sometimes you read it and you go, well, we have an applicant here who does what he wants to do, and regardless of what the requirements are or what right is. So I'm troubled by this, and especially in light of the fact that we have a pending legal case. So and I don't know what action we take today, whether that kind of makes the legal case somewhat moot, but I'm kind of troubled by all that. I understand the legal case would still go forward, but then I guess it'll be, hey, I got this permit, I'm ready to go. And that's what we're all here about, I guess, in the court, they would say. But so I don't know exactly what's appropriate here, but I appreciate and agree with what Director Webb was saying. All right. Any further comments or questions? Call the roll.
Director Dobbs-Smith.
No.
Webb.
No.
Garcia.
No.
Trustee.
No.
Holliday.
No.
Beard.
No.
Mayor McCabe.
No. Ordinance is defeated, is not adopted. This leads us to Board of Directors items for discussion. Any items, Director Garcia?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to ask the city attorney if he would, once again, I know he's done it many times, but we have an issue coming up before the board that is considered quasi-judicial. And I, the mayor, and probably everyone on the board has been receiving communications from citizens, residents about this item, and I want them to understand why we cannot respond and discuss the item with them. Would you mind describing this process and rule again?
Yes, ma'am, I'll do my best. So the matter that you're talking about is a subdivision that's proposed on Birchwood Bay Road, Cali Ridge. It is a preliminary plat of the subdivision that has been approved by the Planning Commission. There actually have been, and I don't know if you're receiving these. If you are, we'll deal with that. There have actually been 4 separate appeals that have been filed against the approval of this particular subdivision. Each one of those will come to you as one action item, although you will hear all of the issues that are raised by each appeal. The reason that you are prohibited from having ex parte communication, that's a fancy way of saying talking to folks, is because this is not a legislative function. If this were a request to rezone the property as opposed to the particulars of the subdivision code, then that would be a legislative function. And in fact, you have rezoned this property. That issue has been resolved in legislative fashion, and you were lobbied and you talked to whoever you wanted to with regard to that. But because this is a quasi-judicial, it is the administration of our code, our laws to a set of facts. You are sitting essentially as a tribunal, as though you were a judge, for example. And so your decision based on the issue has to be based on what you hear on the record, what you hear in these chambers during the presentation that you will receive, presumably on February the 20th, and not information that you uncover outside of the meeting. That's not to say that you have to disregard your common knowledge of the area. I like to give an example of someone on a jury involved in a car accident. The fact that you drive through the same intersection where that accident occurred each day, and you know whether there's a green light or whether there's an arrow or whether there's a turning lane or those sorts of things, you don't have to erase that from your mind. That is your common knowledge. But at the same time, it would be improper for you to go out and take measurements of skid marks and take photographs and sight lines and things of that nature. So if you would, when you receive these calls, kindly explain to your constituents, and I understand it's tough. It's tough on the constituents too, because you were elected and they expect you to be responsive. But if you would just kindly explain to them that this is in essence a judging type of situation and not a legislative type of situation, and that you really need to stay impartial until you hear both sides of the case, if you will, and make your decision based on what you hear at the meeting itself.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Director Trustee.
Thank you, Mayor. Brian, we're probably receiving email communications. We don't respond to those either, or I'm not going to, but should we send those to the rest of the board to make sure everyone has the same information, or should we just wait?
What we typically do is if you do receive those, send those to the city clerk's office.
Will do.
So that those can be part of the packet. One of the concerns that we have is a due process issue. Okay, the applicant here has property rights, and we owe that applicant a procedural due process in his application and your consideration of it. If there are communications or knowledge that is obtained outside of the open forum, that is denying that procedural due process.
Okay.
And that's what quasi-judicial is all about.
Very good, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any further questions of Brian on Director Garcia's question? The local newspaper will most likely write an article in advance of the meeting, and probably be front page above the fold, when there used to be a fold. So you shouldn't read that article, right?
Well, it would be best. I mean, again,
I'm
I'm treating you as though you're a jury of sorts. You're the judge and the jury in this instance, and so you've heard of the term sequestering yourself. But it is what it is. Whatever information that you use to make your determination, as long as it is known by everyone involved, so long as there is no secretiveness in the information or the reason that you're making your decision, it needs to be out there for everybody.
All right. Very good. Now, that was Director Garcia's one item for director items for discussion. Not that you're limited, you might have 3 more, but does anybody else have an item for discussion? Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to give a big thanks to the Utilities Director, Monty Ledbetter, for being a guest speaker at my town hall just a little over a week ago. He did an amazing job kind of laying out not just what some winter weather safety tips are for homeowners, but he also went into the weeds on several issues surrounding water in Hot Springs, and he responded to everybody's question with a professional grade, and I really appreciated him for being there. He also handed out some cool door prizes to everybody, some Hot Springs type cups and hats and whatnot. So his time there, and he stuck it out to the end. It went on for about an hour and a half, and not only did he take his time to share his knowledge with everybody at the meeting as it relates to water, but he also listened to the entire town hall and stuck around for questions at the end. So I do appreciate the city for having Monty there. He did a great job. Thank you.
Director Beard?
So if we want some nice cups and hats, should we just host a town hall and invite Monty? want as a gift?
You're in trouble.
You're gonna answer.
Was that a question to me?
Or whoever, who would answer that question? Is it you, Bill?
What's the question?
She wants to have a town hall and give away cups and hats, maybe.
Yeah, that is a good question. I didn't know we were giving out cups and hats. I didn't get one.
Look at what I did.
Yeah, you open Pandora's box. If there's nobody else with a closing item for discussion, Bill addressed this briefly today, but we had Leadership Hot Springs, and I'll call it the youth division. Nearly every school was represented here today. We had all the chairs there were full. Of course, the meeting room was reconfigured. We had one school that wasn't present, but they do have a representative. They were just not able to attend today. And one of the things that we learned from them is that nearly all those students have community service hours they have to complete in order to graduate, and that number is 75 community service hours. And I think Director Holliday made some comments, good comments about follow your passion in that, and as well as everybody made good comments that was in attendance. But I encourage them to use those service hours to find their area of interest and to further develop their area of interest, and whether it's working with a nonprofit in the arts community, or you even volunteer at the library or your school or church or at the hospital. And even though you may be doing tasks that are not necessarily all that technical, just being in that environment, you'll absorb and you'll see things, and you'll make a determination perhaps that whether that's something you like, or perhaps you'll find that's something you don't want to be exposed to or don't want to pursue. So there's good on both sides of that. So we're really happy to see a large group. I don't know, what was it, about 35 students in that class? That was.
I'd say at least.
Pardon?
At
Yeah.
least.
Yeah, and so there are going to be people that are going to follow us, in 15, 20 years. So we're in good hands. We just ask them to don't go home and not participate as an adult. Be involved. There are many ways to serve your community through being a volunteer. And certainly here at City Hall, we have plenty of opportunities with our boards, commissions, and committees. It doesn't always have to be elected office. It can be appointed office. We always have spots that remain empty, and they shouldn't be. We have a large enough community that we should be able to fill all of our spots. So, okay, if there's nobody else, with Director Garcia.
If there are no further discussion items, I move to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We got a second by Director Webb. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.